really have to mod the new Tacoma, the 2025, 2024 4th Gen Tacoma, to make it look badass, to have a really aggressive looking, cool looking Tacoma? Yes and no. Kind of depends on what you're going for. First of all, this is a modding channel, so I lean more towards the yes. So what are the minimum things that you need to do if you really want to have a good looking 4th Gen Toyota Tacoma? You know, they come out of the box, they don't look too bad, but just like the 3rd Gen, they can be improved, right? First of all, do you really have to lift the Tacoma to make it look good? Yeah, yes and no. It depends on what you're going to do with the wheels and the tires. You know, I did lift mine. It's got a 1.5 inch lift in the front, a level lift, to kind of bring it up. Do you really need to do that? Not really. I think if you go with a more aggressive tire and put a little bit of wheel poke on it, it's going to look pretty darn good no matter what, because the truck comes fairly high as it is, right? I mean, it's a little bit higher up in the air than some of its predecessors or some of its other competitors out there. But I do think adding a 1.5 inch or a level lift gives you more options depending on what you want to go with as far as wheels and tires. Now, on mine, I did not go crazy. I've got a 285/65 R18. And the reason I lifted it is because if I didn't, I would hit either the back or probably more likely the front, depending upon how I drive the truck. Obviously, the more articulation you get, the worse it's going to be. So you're pretty safe if you go with a little bit of a lift. Although I will caution you, it seems that this 4th Gen Tacoma is a little more finicky as far as the suspension goes. You might run into some alignment issues. You might run into some weird noises. I've had kind of a thumping odd noise in the front of mine. I haven't addressed it yet. I will. I don't know if it's because there's something loose or they didn't install it correctly. I don't know what the problem is, and I don't even really know if it is a problem. It could just be inherent to the truck, and it's always been that way, and I'm just oversensitive. We'll find out. Next up, of course, a window tint. One of the cheapest things you can do, in my opinion, to make any vehicle, particularly the 4th Gen Tacoma, look good. I have a 20% front windows only. You don't have to go crazy and re-tint the back, if you will, because it already comes tinted from the factory. You don't have to do that. As far as the windshield goes, be careful. It kind of depends on where you live. There are ordinances or laws out there that govern what you can do with the front windshield, as well as the darkness of the next set, I suppose. But you want to make sure that you don't go out and spend the money and then get pulled over for something and the officer tells you you need to remove your tint, either the front windshield or all of it that you've done. So yeah, a little caution, I suppose, is necessary when you're doing that. But nonetheless, even if you do stay legal, my truck is not, make sure that you at least put something on there, because it's going to make the truck look a lot better. Next up is the grill in the front. Of course, I have the TRD Pro Style grill, or the Heritage type grill, whatever you want to call it. I think it really makes the front end of this truck. And it's not that the one that comes on at OEM is ugly or anything. It really isn't. They've improved the looks of the grill on the front of the truck. You can even, if you've kept the original grill, you can even go ahead and modify the badge up here in the form of painting it, color matching it, maybe offsetting it with an accent, or even putting one of the type on there that light up. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that yet or not, because honestly, when it lights up, unless you put some kind of a colored light in it, it's just a white, and I don't know if I really like that. Speaking of the front end, make sure if you get a new grill insert that you either go ahead and get one that comes with the LED light if you want it, and I would highly recommend that you get one from the same company that's integrated in here that fits right, as opposed to trying to put something else in aftermarket, unless you want something really different or super bright, I guess. And if you have a camera, make sure it has the little holder down here for the camera, so that you can go ahead and put it on. One thing that I love about this grill, they give me that option. I do not have a front-facing camera, but all I would have to do is knock out this little insert here, and then I could put the camera in behind if I wanted. They really did cover all the bases on this one. Of course, there are the fang lights. I do not have them on my truck. I go back and forth on those. I do like them, and honestly, the time to put them in is when you do the front grill. They do look nice on the truck. I've heard of some issues with wiring. Where do you put it? People that have connected it to circuits that aren't always off when the truck is off. So as the truck cycles, it will do that, for instance, with the fuel pump to relieve pressure, or gases, whatever it does, the evap system. If you're connected into that circuit, your lights in the front are going to come on every time the truck fires up. So make sure you put it in the right spot. Me personally, I would use an aux beam switch so that I could manually turn them on that I want, but I know that kind of defeats the purpose of having them as daytime running lights automatically, or even some sort of a turn signal connection if you do it that way. Next up, side treatment. This is a bit controversial. You know, I went with the rock rails because I don't really like side steps. They certainly are functional, and depending on your vertical gift, you may need them, and that's fine. I like what I've got. I think the Predator side steps that Toyota offers are actually the best looking, but they're not the most functional. They're kind of close to the edge of the truck or the bar themselves or itself. It doesn't really work well as a step. I think if you're going to go with a step, the best kind to get, honestly, are running boards. If you look at the Jeep Gladiator, we have them on here because this is my wife's truck and she prefers having them on. This is the most functional I've ever had, and honestly, I do find myself using them when I get out of the truck. My back foot goes on them to kind of steady myself as I get out. But if you're going to have them, why not have the kind that actually are functional? Lastly, as far as looks go on the truck, the inserts in the back, the letters. Mine came this way with the black inserts. Of course, there are a myriad of places and companies that sell these. My suggestion, in my experience, is to go with Tough Skins. They have a good quality product. They're not the cheapest product out there, but they're the best. They last. So yeah, you can buy a set from Amazon for probably a half or a third the price, and then you can buy another set a year later, and another set a year after that. And pretty soon, you've spent more than you would have spent if you'd have just gone with a good quality part from Tough Skins. There is one more thing that I want to add. The exhaust pipe in the back. You know, for some reason, Toyota put this big giant cannon exhaust coming out of the side. It's ugly. Two things: paint it black, at least it makes it blend in a little bit, or go ahead and replace it with the axle dump or the short little stubby exhaust tip, or it's not really a tip, it's a pipe. And one thing I want to mention, some people have complained that, well, that exhaust, the gas is right under the truck and it's going to come in and it's going to make the truck smell, and that's not true. I have not experienced that. And there's two trim levels that Toyota sells that actually come with that short pipe. So not really an issue. Toyota has already done the testing. They wouldn't be able to put it out if it was a health hazard. Anyway, just a few simple things to make the Toyota Tacoma, the 4th gen, look a little bit better, to give it that edge, I guess. If that concerns you, it does me. I always like to drive around in, at least in my opinion, the best looking truck I can have. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.